Oh, I'm fine, thank you. It's already dark here. It's evening, so time for dinner actually.
Yeah.
But let's go over the topics.
All right, let me just double check that we're live now. Oh, we are live now.
Are we live on YouTube?
We are live on YouTube.
Oh, look at that. Well, hello to our YouTube friends out there.
Awesome. All right, I posted the link in Gitter, which means we can get started now.
Yeah. Do we have, I think we have, I'm the only one watching on YouTube right now, it appears. Oh, there we go. Streaming in. Well, cool. Machiko, you want to kick us off?
Yep. So, hi, welcome to our very last community call of 2017. We have lots of news for you today. As always, I'm Machiko, one of the engineers, the community engineers / documentation engineer on Reaction. And today we have Spencer from our core team and Michael, Jenny from our community team over in Germany. And we have updates on what we're working on in Reaction Commerce Core and also from Docs, and a chance for us to answer community questions. So we have a lot of stuff today, so let's just get started. Spencer, what's coming up in 1.6.1 and the future Reaction releases?
Yeah, so I guess since the last community call, we've made several big pushes. The biggest thing that has changed since the last community call is we actually did release 1.6. So 1.6 we've talked about, I think, several times over the last few community calls, so I don't feel the need to dig into that too much. But essentially that gets us on Meteor 1.6, which also comes with Node 8 and NPM 5. There's several documents out there. You can revisit a past community call. There's a lot of improvements that comes with, but that is live now. We've been talking about that for at least a month. So very excited to get that one released. We also, on Monday, released 1.6.1. So 1.6.1 is just a point release. It has a number of fixes. One of the bigger fixes there is we fixed a bug in our Suite Alerts compatibility. So there was essentially Suite Alerts is what we use for modal pop-ups. And we bumped a version there at one point, and certain modals were not popping up at all because of that. So we fixed those issues. We bumped Moment up a version, which is fixing some potential security vulnerabilities. And then we fixed several other, I guess, smaller things. The only feature that we have that has really been added in 1.6.1 was we've removed, and features maybe a stretch, it's really more of a fix as well, but we removed the shop drop-down context changer for users who are not admins of multiple shops. So that context changer permitted users to kind of change the shop they were looking at from their admin view, and it would change their dashboard. It would change, the permissions that they had access to as well. And what we found was that was just really confusing for users who only were adminning one shop. It's still there for the marketplace owners, and it's still there for any users that have multiple shops. But you will no longer be able to use that to visit or to view a context for shops that you don't have admin access for, which I think reduces the confusion of that feature. We've got another release that's in the works. I think we're going to release it as 1.7. The reason we're bumping all the way up to 1.7, we're kind of more of a SUMVer than a SEMVer organization here at this point. But we're going to be bumping up to 1.7. Sorry, what was that, Machiko? I think you might be muted.
Oh, I said, what do you mean by that?
So SEMVer, really says that anytime you have any change that breaks backwards compatibility, you should be bumping your major version. We've not really been following that. I think it's something where our API is still a little fluid, and so we've not been, following the true SEMVer guidelines in a hardcore way. SEMVer also suggests that anytime you add a feature, you should be bumping your minor version. And really the only thing that should end up in a patch version would be, bug fixes and really tiny updates that don't add functionality. So that's why I say Semver. I don't really know if Semver is a thing, but it's kind of we follow Semver-ish. All that to say, 1.7, which is the next release I think we'll have, there may be a minor release between here and there, but unlikely. But we are pushing a performance update to the way that we publish products, specifically to the product grid. So I think this is a pretty enormous performance improvement, but it does come with a change that may break some third-party plugins depending on how they were written. Essentially what we're doing is we're no longer publishing every variant of every product to the product grid. There's a few other changes in there as well, specifically to how the observed changes method works in the products publication, which in certain cases was permitting the publication to publish every single product document as well as every single media document down to the client all at once. And that was responsible for some pretty slow performance, especially in those edge cases. So we are eliminating that. So now the product grid will publish, if you have your scroll limit set to 24, we're going to publish 24 products, and we're going to publish the media for those 24 products. So in that mindset, it's much smoother. It's a lot faster. You'll be able to notice it. It's not a silver bullet for performance. There are still a few other issues that we're going to need to fix, but it does significantly improve things. If you're a plugin author, though, the things that you're going to need to know are you may not have access to every single product and every single variant on the grid anymore. That is done on purpose, but you may need to create publications or subscriptions for your product variants if you expect those on the grid after this release. You're muted again. Still muted.
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Awesome. Thanks for that update, Spencer. That is a good one to look forward to, especially if you're a shop that has a lot of products, I would imagine. So yeah, those are the updates from Core. From Michael and I, we have a lot of updates from docs and all those things. First thing, if you missed our reaction action last week, not to worry because we've made 2 YouTube videos of the 2 tutorials that we had during that. So one, we have a tutorial on working with higher order components with React and setting up marketplace and reaction. That's more of a kind of like a user side tutorial, but we have that too. We've also been updating our docs on how to use workflows and layouts. More in-depth installation tutorials by operating system. We have one from Michael on how to change a favicon. And we've also been updating our list of reaction plugins that we like. That's a question that we get a lot about what plugins are in development or what have we used or what are we creating. And these are all stuff that we'll be doing more of next year as well. So if you have any questions about those docs, make a pull request in docs or ask us a question in Gitter, and we're always open to that. And the last thing I wanted to know before we kind of get into our Q&A stuff is that the Hack-A-Bugathon is still going on. We've extended our deadline to January 15th to give people time to work during the holidays on your PRs. I know we haven't been as responsive in reviewing some PRs just because we've been so busy and holidays and everything, but we'll definitely be getting back onto that. Yeah. Spencer, do you have any more comments on any of those things?
No, I think you covered most of that fairly well. Very excited to have our docs in a much better place even than 3 months ago. I think the API docs especially are far more usable. So that should be a new place to really start projects from at this point, whereas before I think you kind of had to just hunt through the code.
Yep. And also, if you're looking for an example of how a reaction shop, everything might look like, I know that Michael and Brent and a few others have been working really a lot on our swag shop, and that swag shop is deployed And also all the code is up online on GitHub, so you can see how they're doing that. Michael, do you want to talk a little bit about what you've been working on with the Swag Shop and what the plans are?
Yeah. Okay. Swag Shop, we are actually targeting two purposes with the Swag Shop. The one purpose is actually to have a place, a shop that's online where we are going to actually sell our swag for Reaction. And the other big opportunity we want to target with is actually showing the community how their specific shop requirements can be implemented. So we have really a lot of questions on the GitHub channel on how to customize the shop, how to do the theming, how to implement plugins, and the idea really is to have that Swag Shop as an ongoing process. So the idea is actually to have also covered it by blog posts in parallel. So when we are starting with the Swag Shop project, which actually started already last week, but pretty soon I expect to be a blog post published where we are going through explaining what's going on the next couple of weeks. And the idea is to have somehow the community involved a little bit in the process of realizing this Swag Shop. So the Swag Shop repository is public, and the blog post will a little bit tell about how the process is going on and what we are doing and what are the obstacles. We will really start from the very beginning with actually writing user stories and estimate the tasks that have to be done to get the Swag Shop ready. Involve the design office at certain points, and then actually we expect to have this running for a couple of weeks, and maybe in 6 or 8 weeks, hopefully, the newly created Swag Shop should be online, and so we are really looking forward to have a real Swag Shop that can sell goods.
Awesome! It looks like I'm looking at the Swag Shop repository right now, and it looks like it's just you have just the plugin. So are you using something like Git submodules to get it working with the latest version of Reaction?
Not yet. So the thing is, the deployment is done through custom build steps. Mm-hmm. Right now, the repository is just it's not via submodules but just you have to clone it into your plugins custom folder. Mm-hmm. And additionally, as you can read or see in the README, you need to do some custom steps, copy over the private assets into the root projects private folder. You need to copy the public resources into the root applications public folder, because right now our plugins don't adhere or don't use are not really npm packages. So this mm-hmm. could be a thing for the future, but right now it's not possible. So to have this shop running, actually, you should follow the README where it's described how to copy over all the files you need to get the shop running, actually. The Swag Shop, as you see it right now on the public URL, swag.get-reaction.io, is not the latest version. It's I have filed a couple of pull requests, and as soon as they get reviewed by Brent, hopefully we are really starting to modify and adapt the layout and the overall functionality according to the design specs, and the user stories you will find beside the GitHub repository. There are about 18 issues, and there you will find all the epics and all the user story that we are going to implement the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. I'm super looking forward to that. And I've just read through your README PR, and it sounds really useful. So I'm excited to test it out. So let's move on to some FAQs that we've been having. So we always look through questions in our Gitter channels, our forums, and our GitHub issues and stuff. And I like to just pull things that have popped out to me over the past 2 weeks. We've gotten 2 questions in the forums recently about kind of at the intersection of kind of code and legal and that kind of stuff. And so make sure that we've updated our copyright and trademark notices on our website. So take a look at that and take a look at our answer to this question. Can I use the name Reaction in my third-party plugin? Can I make a commercial plugin for Reaction? This isn't really the kind of the topics that we cover in this community call, but I just wanted to point out that you can get an answer from Sarah Hicks, our CEO, on the forum there. So yeah. And another question that we got in Gitter, are workflows used to define the templates inside a given page, parentheses, inside the templates specified by the route? Is there a guide / example I can find on making a new workflow for a new page? I'm trying to copy the checkout workflow and not having any luck. Do you have any help for him there, Spencer or Michael?
Michael, I know you've been working on some of this workflow stuff for this tutorial, so I'll defer to you if you've got a good answer there.
Yeah, actually, I just tried to a little bit explain or figuring out how the workflow and layout stuff is actually working. I myself had quite a hard time when I saw it the first time a couple of years ago when it was introduced. So, and when I came back to Reaction last month, I immediately got into the topic again and was asking myself, for myself, I somehow wanted a clearer picture how this works, and therefore I started to document or explain a little bit from my point of view how the workflow layout and workflow steps this topic is going to work, or how is it supposed to work, and the result of that is actually a FAQ, I think, or some page in the documentation where Machiko also did a lot of work and refined it a little bit to reflect the current state, how this works in Reaction.
I guess to give more of a core product future goals for this, I can talk about that a little bit. So workflow is essentially a sort of state machine. It's slightly more flexible than maybe like a really rigid state machine where there's defined next steps and you can only process from one state to the next. So the workflow idea is essentially like we're going to keep a history of where any given document or process or whatever has been. And then somewhere in the code or somewhere in the database, we also keep a list of what the process should be for a given workflow. So for checkout, it might be, log in, set up your address, select shipping, do payment, review your items or review your cart, and then process payment. For onboarding, there might be a different workflow. For fulfilling an order, there might be yet another workflow. And the goal then would be to be able to plug into these workflows in any kind of way to add a step to a workflow, to remove a step from a workflow, to define a brand new workflow for an existing, like let's say I want to replace the checkout workflow. You should be able to do that. The server, I think there's some work to be done there. The database and the schema, we have kind of this core idea of workflows, but we have some work to do, I think, to make those more easily pluggable, and also to build the docs that kind of explain how to do that a little bit better. So if that's something you're interested in doing and you're struggling with, I think that's feedback that we'd love to hear. Kind of what have you tried? what's working, what's not working. Those are great questions for these community calls. And I think the more we can kind of get into the details on those, the better we're going to be able to make this process. But we do recognize that that is a pretty core part of what is going to make Reaction unique, is the ability to kind of fork these different workflows, to add an additional shipping workflow for a different type of product, or to add a different fulfillment workflow, or to specify a new onboarding workflow for a different user type. I think all of those things can really help Reaction to stand out as an e-commerce platform. But we still have a little bit of work to do to make sure that those are documented well and that they're as easily pluggable as I would like them to be. I don't know if that helps or if that's more just kind of talking around the subject, but I hope that gives a sense of where we're trying to go here.
Yeah, that was awesome two-part answer from both Michael and Spencer. Just a reminder, if you want to ask us if you don't want to get on this actual call itself, because it could be a little bit intimidating to be on YouTube Live, you can always feel free to use our Google form to ask us a question, and you can send us, a GitHub gist or a GitHub repo of what you're working on, or you can even send a issue and Reaction docs about what you would like to find out more. And it helps us a lot to figure out what you're trying to achieve, what you've tried so far, and what's working, what's not working, exactly what Spencer was saying. And that's the kind of stuff we would love to work with you on. We've been getting some really great community PRs recently too that have been explaining all this stuff really well. So that's another place to kind of look at what other people are trying. So in our last 5 minutes, because it's the last community call of the year, I wanted to do a little bit of year-end reflection. I know that I don't think neither Spencer nor Michael nor I have worked at Reaction for 12 months, but it's still a good time to do it anyways. So I wanted to ask both of you, what were the favorite things you learned about? It doesn't even have to be about Reaction, actually. It could just be about working in web development or open source or anything from 2017. And what are your goals for what you want to learn in 2018? I know I gave Spencer this question first so you can think about it a little bit more. Have you thought about your amazing answer, Spencer?
Oh man, I've processed very little of this. I've not done enough reflecting on my year yet. I need to write a 2017 blog post that allows me to synthesize all the different things I've learned. I feel like 2017 has been a really exciting year for me. I think, joining the Reaction team has been really, really cool. Raising our Series A was a very exciting experience and one that I learned a lot in that whole process. Getting to be around the team at Reaction, I think has taught me a lot. There's many times when I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing and everyone else around me is way smarter than me, which is a great feeling to have. I feel like that's a real place of prime learning. So I think I continue to try to optimize my roles and my positions for learning opportunities. I'm going to continue to try to chase opportunities where I have the most I can learn rather than maybe other types of opportunities. So for me, that's exciting. In terms of specific learnings, I don't have anything brilliant. There was a tweet I read to keep this real shallow at one point, I think maybe 3 or 4 months ago. I think it was Patrick Collison, and he said something like, "Life is too short to not be reading the very best book that you know about at any given moment," or something like that. And that helped me reflect a little bit. I've been trying to read a lot more. I still don't read as much as I would like, but this idea that that we're only going to read so many books in our lifetime. Even the most ferocious readers read, probably less than 100 books a year, which over a lifetime is still just a minuscule number of books compared to how many there are out there. And so if you waste your time on, a bad book or on a, bad TV show or a bad movie, there's just no getting that time back. And so for me, I've been trying to, optimize my free time and optimize the things that I've been reading so that I'm kind of constantly taking in the best information.
That's an awesome existential thought for 9 a.m. for me this morning. So thank you, Spencer.
Keep it chill.
Not to put you on the spot, Michael, but did you have any favorite tweets from 2017? Or any?
Actually, I'm a little
book.
bit unprepared now, but if you are asking me what was special for me in 2017, in the beginning, I think it was in the beginning or in spring 2017 when I just had that idea of working with you guys at Reaction, because I always found the project very, very exciting and very interesting. And the last couple of years, I really had to deal with a lot of legacy applications, and I did a lot of SOAP development with Python and all that stuff that nobody really bothers about or uses anymore. So I had that idea, let's just quit it and do the exciting stuff, go and learn React, go and I had a chance in summer to do a little bit TypeScript on another project, and I really enjoyed it. It was quite a good ride, and so here we are now. I have the chance to work with you on the community team, that really makes me happy, and I'm very excited to help you on that front. And for 2018, I think there's really a lot to work, because the work here is so diverse. So I'm just interested in other topics like learning or get into GraphQL or Docker or all the things that you are doing here at Reaction. So many things to learn. I think it keeps promising, and it keeps exciting. So I'm pretty glad to be here.
Awesome. I would say the same for me. It's been interesting. We're going from working on internal legacy code that nobody sees to working on core that anybody can see, and working on documentation and things like that everybody can see. It's a little bit of a different mentality from when you're working in a private company. You can just rewrite that thing and deploy it out. But here you have to think about everybody else that's already using it. It's really different. I'm also, for 2018, I'm really excited to try to dive into totally new things. Like, I know Aaron's been talking a lot about GraphQL and Gatsby, so I want to try to do a side project in that to see what that's like. So that's on my to-do list for 2018. And I was literally just thinking yesterday about going to the library, Spencer, to get some more books. So I think another thing that I liked learning about our team at All Hands is that we all had lots of books to read on our list. And there's always new things that you can be reading that kind of help you in work, even if it's not programming related. So yeah. Do we have any questions? Do we have any more questions in the chat or anywhere else? It doesn't look like we have questions, but I'm glad to see that people are chatting to each other on the chat. Yeah. So